An absolutely loaded show coming your way on today's San Francisco 49ers Report. My name is Chase Sr., so glad all of you are hanging out here with me. The Niners just signed 3 players in the lead up to the Seahawks game. Some mind-blowing roster intel for San Francisco. How Mike Tomlin stepping down impacts Kyle Shanahan. The Trent Williams impact. And some Robert Saleh and Fred Warner updates. I do want to begin here, though. I want to hear from all of you. Do you want us here at Chat Sports to make F Seattle shirts today? Myself, our design guy Arnold, we've been collaborating to put together some designs, and we made this shirt, the Dub City shirt, in honor of Fred Warner, and anytime the Niners get that dub, it's Dub City. So it'd be something like this, and we have sold a bunch of these all across the world. So if you want us to do the same going into the Seahawks game for Seahawks Week, and it doesn't just play for this game. This is a great rivalry. Niners-Seahawks play 2 times every single year at least. I want you to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. If we get enough likes on today's show, we can put something together. So I want at least 1,000 likes on the program here today. As far as those 3 signings for San Francisco, John Lynch busy, man. The Niners signed safety Darrick Forrest, signed tight end Hayden Rucci, and also signed wide receiver Colton Dowell. Let's talk about all these players here. As far as Forrest and these moves, by the way, on the Niners practice squad, I would imagine 1, maybe 2 of these players could get elevated from the practice squad to the game day roster. For the wide receiver in Dowell, it's a futures contract, not on the practice squad. Forrest, 26 years old, 6'2", 206. Pretty good size at that safety position. He ran a 4.4 40-yard dash coming out of Cincinnati, and so he can really move quickly as far as his speed, and he's a pretty experienced player. Drafted by the Washington Commanders, 2021 fifth-round pick, he's played in 40 games with 17 starts, and he played in a loaded Cincinnati secondary for head coach Luke Fickell at the time. He was in that secondary with the likes of Sauce Gardner, who's turned into one of the top corners in the game, and Kobe Bryant, who's a safety for the Seattle Seahawks. So that Cincinnati team, they were awesome during that run under Fickell, and a big reason for that, the play of Forrest as well. Speaking of the athleticism, relative athletic score in the pre-draft process of 9.69 on a scale of 0 to 10, and you see the green. That's elite categories here. 39-inch vertical, 11-foot broad jump, and then the 4.42 40-yard dash. He's being added to the roster because the status of Jair Brown unknown going into Saturday night's tilt against the Seahawks. Jair Brown injured his hamstring against the Eagles. That's why Marquis Siegel, the 5th-round pick rookie out of Kansas State, who hadn't played much on defense of late, stepped in and played awesome. So we'll see what happens with Jair Brown. The Niners had to make this move because they're a little bit thin at that safety position. Then there's Hayden Rucci, 2024 UDFA out of Wisconsin, a classic Wisconsin player, especially at tight end. Doesn't move all that quickly, a 4.94 40-yard dash, but good size. He can run you over. He can rumble down the field, 6'5", 247. And when you watch him play, you're like, that is a classic Big Ten type of tight end. 2 stints with the Miami Dolphins. I think that is at play here for the Niners because of the scheme familiarity that he had in playing under Mike McDaniel. You add him to this roster, and he can pick up Kyle Shanahan's scheme very quickly. The Niners did make a roster move because of George Kittle tearing his Achilles. He'll get surgery tomorrow on Thursday as I record this show Wednesday, January 14th. So at the tight end position, the Niners have elevated Braden Willis from the practice squad to the active roster in his career. 23 games played, mostly on special teams, only 3 targets. And then the wide receiver in Colton Dowell. He's been signed to this team on a reserve and future contract. Not to the active roster, not to the practice squad. He's played in 10 games in 3 years. He played his college football at UT Martin. Spent a lot of time on the Baltimore Ravens practice squad. Another good athlete who the Niners are bringing in here. A relative athletic score of 9.78 coming out of college. Nearly 6'3", 212. So he has some really good size to him. And I don't really care about bench press numbers for wide receivers because you're not really using that motion for your chest when you're playing wide receiver. But 21 reps, a 225, He's an athletic freak. 41.5-inch vertical, more than an 11-foot broad jump, and at nearly 6'3", 212 pounds. Pre-draft process, he clocked a 4.42 40-yard dash. So Forrest and Dowell, safety, wide receiver, they can both really fly. Look, this is why you hit that subscribe button. When the Niners make moves, we break it down right here on this show. Help us get to 190,000 subscribers by locking us in and hitting that sub button. This right here, pretty mind-blowing. When you think about the Niners, when they went on the road in week 1 to play the Seattle Seahawks, to now, when they're back in Seattle, the Niners could have 11 different starters on both sides of the ball from the last time they were in Seattle in week 1. The Niners starters in week 1 on offense. You had Trent Williams at left tackle, Ben Bartch at left guard, center Jake Brendel, Dominic Pooney at right guard, Colton McKivitz at right tackle. The change there, Ben Bartch. And then the skill position players on the quarterback. You had Brock Purdy at quarterback, George Kittle at tight end, Christian McCaffrey in the backfield, Kyle Juszczyk at fullback, Ricky Pearsall and Jawan Jennings at the wide receiver spot. What's pretty crazy about this is that Marquez Valdes-Scantling and Russell Gage played 27 and 28 snaps in that football game. They're no longer on the roster. Kendrick Bourne and Malik Turner were not on the roster then. They are on the roster now, and they were both on the field for that Brock Purdy surgical game-winning drive against the Eagles on Sunday in the wild card round. Ben Bartch, of course, he got hurt again. That's one of the changes there at left guard. And then George Kittle, not going to play in this game either. After he tore his Achilles last week, it's going to be Jake Tonches getting the start there at the tight end position. The Niners starters week 1 on defense. This is where there's going to be a lot of changes. Defensive linemen, Nick Bosa, Khalil Davis, Jordan Elliott, Mykel Williams. Literally, you could see changes at every single defensive line spot. The rookies have kind of supplanted Davis and Elliott, and then, of course, the injuries to Mykel and Nick Bosa. At linebacker, Fred Warner and D. Winters both might not play in this game. Definitely not for Fred Warner, at least I would imagine. He could surprise all of us. And then D. Winters might miss some time again. In the secondary, you had Renardo Green, Diamador Lenore, and Upton Stout. And then at safety, Jason Pinnock and Marquis Siegel. Jair Brown out, Malik Mustafa in. Marquis Siegel could also get the start once again against the Seahawks. So the defensive line obviously looks a lot different, as I alluded to. No Nick Bosa, Mykel Williams. It really hurts you from a pass rushing standpoint. And then the Niners have really missed Mykel Williams as a run defender. And it's one of those absences where you see a player's value. Mykel Williams, the Niners drafted him because they loved how he set the edge in the ground game. They wanted to fix that with their defense. Without him, the run defense has gotten worse, so you've seen his value in a way. And then how about the play of both Alfred Collins, the second-round pick out of Texas, and C.J. West, the fourth-round pick out of Indiana? They played 16 snaps combined in week 1 on the road against the Seahawks. They are focal points of this Niners defensive line, and those two rookies played awesome against the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday. Sam Okuwanu is also a mainstay now along the defensive line. He only played 15 snaps in week 1. So a lot of changes for sure, and potentially against the Seahawks from week 1 until now, both Niners trips to the Pacific Northwest. Still to come here on the show, how Mike Tomlin stepping down impacts Kyle Shanahan. The Trent Williams impact. You don't want to miss those numbers, and some updates on Robert Saleh and Fred Warner. Salah has a lot of interviews coming up. Which ones? We'll get into that here in just a moment. Today's 49ers Report is sponsored by our friends at Harry's. Your phone, it's basically a supercomputer, right? Your car, it can park itself if you're driving an EV. Your headphones, they cancel noise like magic, but your Razor, still flimsy, still overpriced, still stuck in 2008. If that's the case, you got to make a change. And your change, Harry's. Harry's Plus has an advanced pivoting system to reach every corner of your face. Refined blade technology for a close, smoother shave and a weighted metal handle. This feels like an expensive shave, but here's the thing. It isn't. Refills are still cheaper than the other guys. It's designed with progressive blades with less tug and pull. With Harry's Plus, you get a barbershop quality shave with German engineered blades. Each blade is honed at 3 different angles to cut hair cleanly at the root without tugging. Blade spacing is optimized to glide smoothly and avoid clogging. Drugstore blades clog so fast. Every cartridge includes a lubricating strip with aloe and vitamin E to calm your skin while you shave. And this is maybe the best part about Harry's Plus, how affordable it is, but also they own their own world-class blade factory in Germany. No outsourcing, no middleman. That same facility has been perfecting blade making for over 100 years. Because they control the entire process from steel to shelf, they keep costs low. Why pay $30 for refills when Harry's gives you a blade for a fraction of that? So here's the deal. For a limited time, our listeners can get the Harry's Plus trial set for only $10 at harrys.com/chat. This set includes the all-new Harry's Plus razor, one refined 5-blade cartridge, a 2-ounce foaming shave gel, and a travel cover to protect your blades on the go. Just head to harrys.com/chat, use that code chat to claim this offer right now. After you make your purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them that the 49ers Report and Chat Sports sent you. All right, a lot more to get to here still on the show. As we know, the news on Tuesday, Mike Tomlin stepping down after 19 seasons as the Pittsburgh Steelers head coach. He never had a record below 500. That's the good, the bad. Hadn't won a playoff game since 2016. And so, with Mike Tomlin stepping down, these are the longest tenured head coaches across the National Football League. Andy Reid was hired in 2013 by the Chiefs from the Eagles. Sean McDermott, Sean McVay, and Kyle Shanahan all hired in 2017. So already Kyle Shanahan is tied for being the second longest tenured head coach in the National Football League. How quickly time goes by. Shanahan took over an awful situation in 2017 after some disastrous years from Jim Tomsula and Chip Kelly. He rebuilt this organization very quickly. He's led the Niners to 2 Super Bowl appearances and 4 NFC Championship games in 9 years. Maybe another NFC title game if the Niners can beat the Seahawks on Saturday. He's put together a playoff record of 9-4. So I know that the biggest game has evaded him. That's a Super Bowl championship. But he's won a lot of marquee playoff games. And with Shanahan, he's so elite. One of the top offensive minds in the game, one of the best play callers, one of the best play designers. He maximizes players, especially the quarterback. And because of that, he gives you a chance every single week, especially from an X's and O's standpoint. And he's built a great culture for San Francisco. And on Sunday against the Eagles, what a coaching masterclass that was. Niners are really lucky to have Kyle Shanahan. And then also with Trent Williams. Let's talk about the Trent Williams impact here. There's a reason why Trent Williams is a future Hall of Famer. And there's a reason why I talked so much about Trent Williams last week. Trent Williams continues to be the MVP of the San Francisco 49ers offense. Some people might say Brock Purdy or Christian McCaffrey, but since 2020, the Niners are 62-31 with Trent Williams. That is a winning percentage of nearly 67%. Without Trent Williams, that winning percentage dips down to sub 24%, and the Niners are 4-13. He comes back against that Eagles' vaunted defensive line and defense, and this Niners offensive line played really well, and that's the Trent Williams impact right there, because he makes everybody around him better. And how about these numbers dug up by Akash from week 1 against the Seahawks compared to week 18? The Niners ran behind Trent Williams in week 1. 7 carries for 43 yards, 6.1 yards per carry. In the rematch against the Seahawks, when the Niners ran behind Austin Pleasance, San Francisco ran it 5 times for 14 yards and an average yards per carry of 2.8. The Niners did not have Trent Williams in week 18. They do in the divisional round, and he could be a big reason why the Niners pull off an upset. As far as Robert Saleh, he is a hot commodity. And I imagine that the interest in him from other teams across the NFL will increase and pick up after the masterclass that he put on display against the Philadelphia Eagles offense. That's an Eagles offense that had a bad offensive coordinator with Kevin Patullo, but Robert Saleh, down Nick Bosa, down Mykel Williams, no Fred Warner, down to his 5th, 6th, and 7th linebackers. And from a schematic standpoint and a play calling point of view, he shut that Eagles offense down by making in-game adjustments, and his defense was playing really well in the second half. That's what great coaching can do, and that's why I wanted the Niners to bring back Salah to replace Nick Sorensen as the defensive coordinator this season. And what a move it's ended up being for the Niners. And because of what he's done this year in coaching up this defense, he has 5 interviews set for head coaching openings. Baltimore Ravens, Tennessee Titans, Arizona Cardinals, Miami Dolphins, and the Atlanta Falcons. All those teams showing interest in Salah. But what I love about this, he's not doing any of these interviews until Sunday after the Niners play the Seahawks. So all of his focus is on this Seahawks game in the divisional round on Saturday night. As far as what Salah said about Fred Warner, Fred, just pure energy, as Fred Warner was a limited participant yesterday, taking part in the Niners walkthrough. Fred's the ultimate energy giver, so just having him out there is awesome. Yesterday was a little more tempo down, but today, with higher tempo, it will be fun to get him out there and see him running around. In case you missed the news yesterday, this is wild. The Niners have opened up the practice window for All-Pro Fred Warner, and the hope is that if the Niners were to beat the Seahawks, Fred Warner could return for the NFC Championship game. He got injured about 3 months ago, breaking and dislocating his ankle, and now he could return this season, which seemed impossible then. It could be a reality if the Niners win this game. Don't forget to give me a follow on X, Instagram, and TikTok at Chase_Senior. I'm putting so much content up here on YouTube, but also on my social media pages, and it's been taken off, especially my Facebook page for the older folks who are on Facebook. You can just do a simple search and find me, Chase Senior Chat Sports.